Good morning. I turned off my music just in time. I had a little Spotify going, and I'm still in my jammies, actually getting ready to do the next parts of my morning practices. Gonna get on the mat soon. And feeling inspired to tell you more what I'm noticing about this very truth here, about how much adding a daily practice, really a practice of any sorts, could be true in this way, but how a daily practice that we can use with ourselves, for ourselves, that we do to ourselves, how that can and does totally change our life and totally impact our relationships. It's a time for owning it. And I loved that when I was hanging out with my teacher John Childers last week when I did that interview, that maybe you got to see. If not, check for it on nearby this video. But I love that he too, after teaching for almost, how many years has he been teaching now? I guess I've been teaching for almost 20 years with the yoga. I guess he's been like, is it 30 years maybe? So anyways, that he too is using this word, this description of how we are tuning ourselves with these practices, and how we're tuning our mind even, and our brain, to be more in alignment with infinite wisdom, right? So that's where you see like the depths of what our yoga can be about, this connecting we can be playing with and going for and doing with our practices. So that's where I love to help us really see that it's so much more than just this mind-body connection that we've been excited about for good reason, right? It's been like, yes, that's awesome to see how we can get that. And sure, oh yeah, I bet my body would feel better if I did more. Let's even just talk about the mat practice right now, because that is one of the powerful ways that we tune ourselves, that we learn from yoga. And I have noticed, so yeah, it could be a practice of any sorts. It could be a practice of journaling. It could be a practice of meditation of any sorts. It could be a practice of creative expression. So really anything that we might do to connect ourselves, reconnect ourselves, is going to change our day, change our relationship, change our relationships, and our relationship with ourself, right? That's like one of the big pieces of the therapy that we get, is just some time to be with ourselves, to listen to ourselves, to tune in to how we actually are doing, much less deal with it, much less work with it, much less change it, right? So one of the big tools that adding a daily practice gives us, and one of the reasons it changes us so much, is because it builds in that time now to be with ourselves, to connect with ourselves, to check out what the heck is going on today, how we are doing, how we are feeling, and even give ourselves space and time, and a yoga approach, right, which would be more loving, more about connection and less about judgment. So getting to do that with ourselves is hugely tuning and connecting, right? So we can do that with any sort of practice. But yes, I will admit that the mat practice, especially when we personalize it, like I like to do for people, like I use for myself, when we are doing a practice that's just perfectly built for us right now, what we're working with, what we're dealing with, what we're going for in our lives, what we're trying to shift and balance. So then that could be on so many levels, you know. Maybe what we're really wanting to add to our lives right now is like more relaxing, more chilling, more soothing, more centering. So we might be doing a practice that's more about that. So you can start to see for sure the benefits of having a more personalized approach with the poses, but really it could mean realizing anything that is connecting for you and building that in. But let's just talk about that mat practice right now, because it is one of the more powerful ways that we can tune ourselves and make big changes in how we feel every day. So it's also really cool because, like, no matter how we feel when we wake up, and first of all, the more that we're doing these practices to tune ourselves, the more likely we are to wake up feeling a little bit better because of the momentum that we are creating and the ways that we're tuning our energy more like every day, tuning our minds, tuning our bodies, tuning ourselves energetically. The better we're going to feel each day as we wake up because of what we did yesterday, right? And the day before and the day before. But also, if we do wake up feeling out of sorts in whatever way, because life is happening, right? And there seems this truth that there's always going to be like contrast and things in life that are challenging us, right? And we've all got this layers of feelings that we're realizing we have and even healing. So we get to do all of this with these practices. So it's like every day you're getting a chance to go in, tune yourself a little bit more, maybe free some more stuff up, maybe realize some stuff, maybe give ourselves a place and a chance to feel the feelings that were there that we didn't even know. And now we see, and I love so many teachers that I'm hearing from remind us that feeling it is how we can heal it and start to free it up. So our practices give us a chance to do all of those things, a chance to check out what is happening with us, to tune into what is true for us, and to get a chance to just be with ourselves so that we can then attend to what we realize, right? And then we're using our practices also to tune up how we're feeling with things like the mat practice. We get to use it as amazing energy medicine that we're doing to ourselves, for ourselves. And you can imagine when we're doing that more like every day. So that means we're freeing up old stuck energy, old trauma, old drama, right? We're freeing up every day. We're picking up other people's energy, right? And I think this is something not to be afraid of, but just to acknowledge, like my teacher John Childers was talking about, what we can realize with our yoga is this interbeing that we are part of, that we are also connected, we are feeling each other, we are even hearing each other's thoughts probably, we are picking up each other's energy. So something we can start to do to work with that is use ways to tune ourselves each day, let go of stuff that isn't ours, free up stuck energies, and lighten ourselves up so that we can go back into that next day feeling more aligned, back in our own energy, maybe we could say. And a lot of that has to do with just our focus, right? And our attention and how we're thinking, how we're imagining. And a lot of that gets tuned with the daily practices. So yeah, you can start to see how when you're building in a dailiness with this self-care, this self-love, this tuning you get to do, it's huge. It's huge in how you're going to feel, just feeling that much more connected to yourself. Turns out feels better, that much more connected to your body, that much more connected to the moment, that much more connected to the perspectives and the psychology and the spirituality that you want to be in. And then you're also getting a chance to tune yourself so that you're ready to be who you want to be in relationships, right? Like this is a huge one, that often what's happening in our relationships is a reflection of what's happening inside of us and our energy, right? So a really cool, beautiful way to enhance relationships is to tune ourselves more like this, more like every day with the practices that do that for us, so that we can be fresh and aligned and in that place of love with the people we love, ready to speak to them more with kindness, right? Compassion and presence. And that is going to come from our having given ourselves that and tuning ourselves back to that each day. Like we can't be in love and presence if we aren't in love and presence, right? So we're doing these things each day to reestablish those states, those feelings, those focuses, those ways we want to be and flow. And so seeing that our daily practices are a place and a way to do that. And the more we're doing it every day, the better it works, the stronger it holds, the bigger the changes. the more we start our days with things that tune us, the better the day is going to go, because we wake up fresh with kind of a new chance to set our momentum energetically. So it's powerful to use your mornings in a way that are going to tune you so that your day is more in alignment. And if you have picked up on some of the talk of things like law of attraction, which all of the religions, all the philosophies, everybody admits is true, then you start to see that because it's all energy and because it's all connected, the energy you're in is absolutely what creates your day and what creates your conversations and what's going to make you who you are in your relationships, right? And in your whole life. So yeah, I'm getting more and more impressed with the power of the daily practice and how much it can change someone's life, their days, their relationships, much less their health in body, mind, or feelings of connection, spiritual connection. And then there's this other piece of like creative flow too that we get to tap into more as part of this, as part of that alignment. And so that's exciting too, that it becomes a way for us to get even more in our passion, in our purpose, and in our ways of helping the world even. So yeah, we can go from using this as a therapy just to like take care of ourselves, let go of our old shit, right? Clean up our internal acts, keep tuning to who we want to be in our relationships, how we want to be in our moments, how we want to handle our days, how we want to be moving forward on our projects. So all of this gets impacted when we add a daily practice, especially towards the starts of our days. And yes, some time on the mat, I will admit, is extraordinarily powerful, because it's all of these things, a place to connect, a place for meditation, and then you're also getting to use those poses and the breath to really change things, really do some energy work on yourself, to really align. So it is extraordinarily a powerful way, but also things like our journaling, any forms of meditation really, walking, dancing, gardening, anything that really we can start to see, anything maybe even that we are drawn to, things that we love, things that we notice, give us a chance to tune in. And then also remember how you can use any everyday activity as just a place to be more mindful and in a meditative state, just listening to yourself, being in the moment, practicing that non-judgment, that self-love, using your breath with your feelings, things like that. So you can bring it into any moment and use your practices, your approaches like that. And that's also the thing too, is when you start your day with a practice, then you're more likely all day long to be listening to yourself, ready to reset, refocus, shift as needed, because you started your day like that, because you got yourself connected like that to start your day, and even because you tuned into yourself like that, got more feeling oriented, got more present, so that you will just be in that state all day long, which means you're ready to tune you and respond, which is going to mean, really changing your day, really changing how you are in relationships, really changing how your creations are going. And yeah, just knowing it's that daily practice. So if you're feeling out of sorts, I would recommend really experimenting with adding more of a daily practice, especially at the starts of your days, and work with some of the things you've realized you love that I hope you now know through me that you can call your yoga. And then, yeah, if you already know some poses or mat practice ideas that you love, even just one or two things can be amazing. And then if you want some guidance with that, that's really what I do with the poses, is help build you that personalized sequence that we can do. So yeah, let me know if you want that, because we can do that online now, super easy, wherever you're at in the world, or we can get together live if you're near me here in Long Beach. So yes, the power of a daily practice and how much it's going to change our lives, change our days, change our relationships, and really empower us to see how much it all comes from how we're feeling, how we're focusing, how we're tuned. And the beautiful news is we totally have power over that. If we have power over anything, it's the power to tune ourselves. And remember, part of that includes listening to those feelings as guidance, letting yourself feel those feelings as a way to heal it, as a way to free it, and letting your practices be a place for that too, right? So it's not just the overriding to the positive stuff. I don't even like those words positive and negative anymore. But yeah. And one more thing I will mention, which has been a new awareness for me, is this idea that, and this is an age-old idea that maybe you already totally believe is true. I didn't so much until recently. But maybe this idea that there's always two forces at work. I got a little getting a reconnect. Yeah, that there may be always two forces at work in the world and within us that we could call light or dark, or positive or negative, or good and evil, or whatever. So we want to be aware of that. Maybe if that is true, like I've kind of denied that, like, oh, maybe there's not like this dark force, maybe there's not an evil, maybe there's not, maybe that's just not true. But now I'm just seeing, like, maybe there is always that within us. It's not like it's like outside of us trying to get us, but it's this like possible energies within us. So that's why too it becomes so important to use our tuning practices to keep tuning in the direction that we want to be feeling, focusing, flowing, and more towards the good, the positive, the light, the spiritual, the whatever we want to call it, as powerful and important in any parts of life, right? In how we're handling our relationships, for sure, in how we're handling our creations, right? And that whole thing called resistance is probably part of these energies. So yeah, so many good reasons to get into the daily practice. Whatever you decide is a good practice for you, but yes, I would vote for some of the things I've noticed I love from the world of yoga and beyond. And yeah, the mat practice, the stuff we can do with the body certainly helps, especially when we personalize it, make sure it's just right and really addressing what's true right now, right? And what we uniquely need from those poses. So it is powerful, it is awesome, and really even within like just an adding 15 minutes a day of something that tunes you in these ways can and will totally change how your day goes, how you are in your relationships, how you're experiencing your moments, and really totally change your life. Isn't that so cool? So I'm loving you. Thanks for listening. More soon. Hi, Sophie. All right, I'm going to get on my mat now. Namaste.